you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I gotta wake up. Okay, sorry. I don't drink coffee, but I need something to wake me up, apparently. Thank you, Jordan. You're so awesome. Okay, so we're talking about customer service and thank yous and just my first job. We talked about that the customer is the single most important purpose of our business. Okay, so there's a couple of fun stories. Have any of you read the book The Hiding Place?
No.
The Hiding Place. That's the one where these gals, they're Christian, but because they were hiding Jews during that World War II period they weren't in Germany, they were in a different country. I can't remember which country they were in now. And they they got put in this concentration camp and somehow were able to keep their Bible with them, which, they do all these strip searches and all this thing. I don't know all the details. All I know is they were able to keep this Bible with them. And they get put into this one barracks, and it's just horrible, horrible conditions, horrible. And the sisters were laying in this very small bed together, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, there's lice and ticks and oh, what's the one that gets dogs? Oh,
Please.
fleas, and they're biting them, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. And how are we supposed to get through this? And the one sister said, we read it this morning in a scripture that we're supposed to give thanks in all things. And she goes, I cannot give thanks for fleas. She was just furious. And going along, they were able to read scriptures with those that were in their group and have these little studies at night. And they kept wondering why they were getting away with this and why their barracks were never searched. And finally, one day, they they saw some of the soldiers or some of the people that were guarding the barracks and that were working in there, and they heard them talking, and they said, oh no, I'm not going to go in there and search. I don't want to get in there with all those fleas and all those bugs. And that the reason why they never were searched, the reason why they were able to have these little meetings, the reason why they were able to keep their Bible was because of the fleas. And how being grateful in all things, that you might be surprised at things that you have because of some of the hard things. And it's just a wow, it's like, how to be thankful for the hard things. Now, there's this other book that I really like. It's called 365 Thank Yous. There's this gentleman, and he was kind of down and out, and he was frustrated, and he was really struggling with some things. And he went for this walk. He was a lawyer, and he was on his second divorce, and his practice wasn't bringing in money like it needed to, and he was incredibly discouraged. And he went for this walk. It was somewhere between Christmas and New Year's. He lived like California, where it wasn't snowing. And he had this thought that until you're grateful for what you have now, you'll never get more of what you need. And he went home, and it was either that same day or the next day, he got a thank you from a girlfriend that he had, a very thoughtful thank you. And they were actually on the verge of breaking up. And he had this thought that he was going to write 365 thank yous over the next year. So he took on this challenge. And as he started writing thank yous, his life started to change. The way he felt changed, the circumstances changed, the way clients were treating him changed, the way he felt about other people changed. And he reached out to people, his relationships with people improved, and these amazing things. He still had some trials. Things didn't just completely turn around overnight, but these thank yous really made a huge difference in his life. And so when we're thinking about thanking our customers, thanking our team members, there's actually several things that we have to take into consideration. Have any of you read The Five Love Languages?
Yes, I have.
You have. Okay. Have you read The Five Love Languages, Jordan? Give me a head nod, yes or no. No. Okay. So it's a really good one. It and I try to explain this to team leaders, and I kind of sometimes they're kind of like, but that's going to take me extra time. Um, but actually, I feel like in the long run, you will save time. You know, those people that you're trying to figure out why you can't get them going, why you can't get them motivated, what's going on, what can you do different, and sometimes understanding people and giving them exactly what they need will save you time over the long run because you're trying to reach in and grabbing and trying to figure out what they need. So let me tell you what the five love languages are. And Barb, you tell us what yours is when we're done. So the first one is physical touch. You know those people who see you and they have to give you a hug as they greet you and as they, say goodbye. There's just those like touchy feely people. And for a lot of men, this is high up on their list of five, physical touch. Okay. We're not just talking about sex. Some people just crave, physical touch. And then there's gifts. Gifts would be something you could wrap up, like you could put a bow on. It's an actual item. Words of affirmation, that could be some sort of congratulations. It can be a thank you. It can be praising someone for something they did well. Words of affirmation, and there's two ways you put that in a card. Someone that's also a word of affirmation, if you're having like a team call, they like to hear you praising them in front of someone else. Okay. Quality time. That's the person who calls you all the time and wants to do lunch and wants to come to your classes with you. Okay. Quality time. Or acts of service. So doing something for someone, if your husband's an act of service, they're going to clean the bathroom for you or something. Or you're an act of service, it might be making dinner for them. Okay. So everybody has these different acts of services. And I think that you can find online a questionnaire on that and get an idea of where people are at. Sometimes people aren't totally in tune with themselves and don't always know. But when you understand these things, you don't have to give perfectly equal, what do I say, attention, incentives, those kind of things for people. You could have options. Like, so let's say you wanted people to sign up three new team members. And you said, you know what, you could either get a free bottle of free oil from me, we can go to lunch together, or I can, I don't know, do some service, something that would be paperwork oriented or something, to help them with their business. You could give them options that maximizes understanding of these five love languages. Okay, does that make sense, Jordan? Do you know which love language is yours, Barb?
Yeah, acts of service.
Acts of service. Okay. All right. And see, mine's words of affirmation. Um, and so understanding those things really helps you to be more in tune with people, both your customers and those on your team. And it's really important that you don't assume that everybody else appreciates the same thing that makes you feel loved and appreciated. And when you learn this, it really helps in the long run. Okay, so you can totally get this book and download the test and might have a team meeting where you hand it out to everybody or send it out in an email, have a little incentive for everyone to fill it out, and it'll be really interesting to see what you learn about people and how you can better customize. Because someone who isn't a quality time, when you're trying to get them on the phone and they're more an acts of service or words of affirmation, they don't always see that you calling them is caring for them. They might see it as you're wasting my time. So they might need to be people that you spend more time texting and emailing than actually being on the phone and getting really good. Like that other gal that I was telling you about who hit the record sales and win the top award. One of the things that she's learned from me, she goes, texting someone and giving them an option versus just asking them yes, no if they're going to do something. She's like, for those people I can't get on the phone, this is a really effective tool that I still can text them and use the same questions via a text. Now, yes, she wishes she could get them on the phone, but at least she's getting them to respond and she's finding out more about them because she's using an optional close with them instead of a yes no question. So it's kind of interesting to see how you can work around these things. Um, so one of the things that you can do is customize this as much as possible. Now, I'm going to tell you, like I said, I'm not the best thank you note writer, but I'm going to give you kind of some little tips on thank you notes and how that they can be written in a really effective way. And these are some interesting details that I had never thought about, and I found this article. Okay, so when you're writing a thank you note, the first thing that it says is for it to be timely. Now, so day of, next day, that kind of thing. Um, have it be very specific, thanking exactly for what it is that someone did for you. Um, I still, I remember this friend in college, and they were very, oh, and she's very, who is that columnist you would write into, and she would kind of give you advice about being politically correct. Do you remember who that is? Barb? Who is it, Jordan?
On in the newspaper, Dear Abby?
Yeah, or something like that.
Or
She's right. You're politically correct. You need to be politically correct. And she, her sister, she'd been talking to her mom, and she was upset because they'd been home for Christmas, and her dad was a dentist. They had some money, and her sister had just got married, and they'd given her all these extra gifts to help her set up her house. And her sister had sent a thank you note that hadn't written out in detail thank you for the different items that she'd been given. It was just a generic, thank you, kind of a band-aid to go across all of them, and how her mother was upset that she hadn't detailed everything that she'd been given versus just thank you for everything. So, some people really, those details mean a lot to them. So, being specific and detailed in your letter. So, this is some of the little details that I read in an article. It says, greet the giver. So, make sure you put the person's name, express gratitude. One of the things I thought was interesting is discuss the use. I'm so excited to have this bread machine because now I can make dinner rolls every Sunday, for dinner with my family, how you're going to use that. Mention the past and allude to the future. It's always been so nice to have this relationship with you. I'm looking forward to years to come with many more fun Christmases. Um, Grace, I'm trying to remember how to explain that. Just being graceful and showing more gratitude and in regards and your name. And I just thought that was so interesting, discussing the use and mentioning both the past, the relationship, and what you hope for the future. Just those little details I think are so interesting. Do either of you have your own tidbits on writing thank you notes, either something you've appreciated getting or a way that you do them?
I
Barbara,
think
go
for
ahead.
me, it's changed over time. I mean, initially, my mother taught me you always send a thank you note if you ever get anything from anybody. And over time, with email and other things, I don't know. When I get a thank you note, Nowadays, like if I send not so much a birthday gift, but a wedding gift or something, I'm glad they're thankful. But I mean, if they send me a message on Facebook or an email thank you, it means just as much. I don't know if the written thank you note means as much to everybody, but again, it probably goes back to the different personalities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's I felt so bad. I had this gal over for dinner, and I'm not one to check my email because most of our bills get paid online and stuff. Or sorry, I'm not one to check my snail mail, my regular mail. And I felt so bad. She sent me a thank you card, and I hadn't seen it forever. It was really embarrassing. And just because it's just not what people do a whole lot anymore. But they're talking about how, handwrite those thank you cards, handwrite them, let somebody get something in the mail that's something other than an advertisement or a bill. Give them that little surprise. My daughter the other day, so she's been writing little cards and she'll put them in the mailbox and she'll go, Mom, can I go get the mail? And she finds, she gets it and brings it. Look what was in the mail for you. Anyway, her little teacher from church, she's 5, her little teacher from church sent her a card. And she was like, it's a real one, knowing that it wasn't like I or Dad wrote it for, it came with a stamp on it and from someone else. I swear, I thought that girl had been given like, $1 million or something because someone sent her a real card. It was the most precious thing ever. Like, I wish I'd kind of recorded her reaction because it was so cute. So, I think it's definitely something that can set us apart by doing that. And it's just kind of interesting how, but, an email, you know, or a text, I like to send my husband a quick text when he's done something kind or whatnot. So we do definitely have multiple ways to communicate. Um, I'll watch those shows like Pride and Prejudice and things where like the only form of communication was a handwritten letter, not just a card, or Downton Abbey, like the only way people communicate was via handwritten things. And I think I'd be in so much trouble when I can't spell well, and that I just don't take the time for those things very well. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd have no relationships whatsoever. But
Yeah.
it's all these things. They differentiate us. They can make a big difference in somebody's life, and definitely will get you more referrals and repeat business because you showed them how much you cared. So, how about you, Jordan? Do you have any special tips or ways you write a thank you card, or something that you do, or is that are you like me and I don't know. My mom actually didn't teach me to write thank you cards. I'm always find it fascinating that people who did because that wasn't something I was taught.
I do still do that with like the weddings and birthday gifts and things like that, but I usually am just, when I see them in person or call or text, those kind of things. But
Right. And it's hard. It's hard to make time for it.
yeah.
So, okay. Um, so one other thing that I wanted to discuss, I'm trying to remember where I put this on the same agenda, but I think it's just kind of an attitude and an attitude of gratitude in all areas of our life. One of the things, there was this one day that I had pulled up to Costco to fill my car with gas, and I looked at the price and it had gone up. It was one of those times where it kind of had gone up rather fast, and I was just frustrated. And I grabbed my phone and I went to text some, little gripe that, I put on Facebook and everybody validate how it sucks that, the price of gas had went up. And I stopped myself in my tracks. And I thought, wait a minute. Okay. First of all, I have a car. Second of all, I have a driver's license. Thirdly, I technically can pay this gas. I have these beautiful, healthy children. This is a silly, silly gripe, and it's negative energy, and it's not going to help anyone. So instead, I put this thing on Facebook. You know what? Sometimes things seem hard, but I am so grateful for XYZ. You know, I have a car, I live in the United States where I'm a woman, I'm allowed to drive by myself, and all these things. And I got so much positive feedback from that. There is something about choosing what we put on Facebook. Now, I'm all for posing a question and letting people help us brainstorm a solution, but it has to be a sincere um, inquiry and not just event, you know, hoping that people will get behind us. I just think it's so important to realize, you know, for example, I have 900 friends. I'm not sure where they all came from. I can't tell you that I know them all personally. But to me, when I have 900 friends, and that means there's going to be 900 people touched by the thing that I said, I'm like, oh no, I can't just get on there and vent. That isn't, you know, that just is not cool because that's energy that's being exposed and hit, you know, hit 900 other people. And so I just think it's so important that we think about what we put on there, how we say it, and then the comments that we make to other people. You know, someone who's having a bad day and venting, you know, I'll send some love in that, but I won't get in their negative spin. I'll try to stop it, you know, help them just know that they're supported and loved and cared about, and see if that will help them, you know, feel a little more positive in that. Um, but, you know, read when you're reading through posts, or, you know, it might be on Instagram, it might be Facebook, might be Gmail, might be Twitter. I mean, there's so many different ways that people communicate now. But watch how it makes you feel when somebody writes something that isn't positive. Watch how it makes you feel when somebody shows gratitude for something. Watch how it makes you feel when somebody sees a silver lining. Okay. Um, Allow yourself to kind of notice that and help brighten somebody else's day and put stuff on there. I'm not saying be fake and act like your life is perfect. Um, it's just I just think that the more that we can think about the energy we're putting out there, the more that we can help people. And I just think that that's an important thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about. They will put any thought, any feeling, any emotion they're having out on social media without thinking about it. And I try to be, even the stuff that I'm active in and trying to promote, when I talk about the trafficking and I talk about the pornography addictions and those kind of things, I try to make sure it's about helping people know that they can do better and that we can be proactive and we can help save children, and that there is a way to avoid pornography addictions and to try to be proactive instead of guilt ridden, and those kind of things. So, and I know, Jordan, you post all sorts of fun, proactive things about your product that are informative and even entertaining, with your kids giggling and playing with the oils and stuff. So you've got a good handle on that. So, any thoughts or questions on what you might do moving forward with thank you notes, or putting stuff out in, you know, the universe, social media, with the energy? Any new thoughts of things that you might do now?
No, but I'm interested in figuring out the love languages.
Okay, so just Google 5 love languages, and if you want, Jordan, if you remind me, yep, there it is. I have the book. You could borrow it. Okay. Do you know where I live? I'm just off of George Washington Way. So I think, didn't you come to the farmer's market last Friday? If you happen to come to the farmer's market, I just live a mile from the farmer's market. So send me a text, let me know, and I'll hook you up, okay? So yeah, it's a fun book. It helps you understand your, it's really good for a spouse relationship when we're going, why won't they help me with this? And they're like, well, I did this for you. And that was their love language. And anyway, it's a great tool for um, marriage relationships. How about you?
Hey, Jordan, do you Jordan, do you ever do Audible on your iPod or your phone?
I don't. What do you mean?
So
On those calls?
sometimes I don't have time to read a book, and I know Love Languages is a great one on Audible because then you can just, flip it on even if you're in the car, and you can still listen to your kids and answer them, but kind of be listening to a book.
Yeah, that would
I don't know.
actually
I listen to
be a good fit for
Love
me.
Languages that way.
That would be good.
Usually
That
it's $22.95. You can download any 2 books a month. I had an account for myself and my husband for a couple years. I have so many books downloaded, it's ridiculous. But when I was actively doing a company like you are right now, I was constantly downloading books. Every time I got in the car, there was one on. This is before we had iPads, so I like burned CDs for a ton of them. But I listen to them when I walk now. I have my favorite books. One of the things I recommend when getting a new book, when you're, doing your daily inspiration like you're supposed to do, is listen to a book, read, whatever. I listen to books 3 times in a row. The first time you listen to it, you'll get a burst of inspiration, but you won't necessarily know how to apply it yet. Read it again, pick a couple of the principles, make a game plan to apply them, listen to it a third time. So when you're applying those principles, it's more likely to stick and you'll really get it. So, in this one's short. Five Love Languages is not a long book, um, but listen to it several times in a row. But yeah, the Audible, I'll even speed it up. I put it on 1.5 speed. Like my husband can't listen to it when I do that. It makes him crazy. But my brain it moves too fast. I can't listen to it that slow on the normal speed. My mind wanders, so it has to be faster. It's not awful, but um, so I can get through a book pretty quick, even if I just take it when I'm walking. You can turn it on while you're doing dishes. Like I said, Barb said in the car. I got through a lot of books when I was in the exact same stage you are. In Audible, you keep them. You pay the $22.95 and you pick 2 a month, and those books are yours to keep, and you can put them on phone, iPod, iPad, whatever you want. It's pretty cool. Listen to it from your computer. There's a dozen ways you can listen to it. So it's kind of fun, huh, Barb? Barb, what are your favorite books to listen to?
Well, I'm in a book group, and so usually just we choose a different genre. It seems like every month, but sometimes we'll have a classic, sometimes we'll have kind of a self-help or just a fun one. We did The Birth Order not very long ago. We did The Giver, we did Divergent, have you heard of Blackmore? And what was the other one that went with Blackmore? Kind of an old English style book. We just do everything with our book group. So that's what I do a lot with that. So I'm starting to write down some of these that you're telling us, oh, this would be a good book to read. I'm not so much a movie person, but, some of the books that they're telling us to read for doTERRA and stuff.
Cool.
Audible account.
Yeah. Very cool. Excellent. All right, guys. Let me know what else I can do for you. And
what is your recommendation for a thank you note? Are you saying if someone buys a kit, it's a good idea to send them a little card thanking them and enjoyed meeting them? Is that what you're recommending? What are you recommending?
Yeah, it was funny. I did a the other day. Do you know those new nails? They like there's these new nail decals. It's like a polish, but you put it on and you heat it up. Anyway, it's just these nails.
Yeah.
It was a fundraiser, and so I ordered from some. It was from this gal in Utah. She mailed them to me, and she sent me a thank you card. And I thought, wow, I just placed a simple order, and you sent me a thank you card. I I think if you choose to make the time for it, sending a thank you to some of your best customers, always to your hostesses, congratulating team members on certain accomplishments. Yeah, I think there's lots of good reasons for cards.
Okay.
Yep, definitely. Okay. Any other questions? No. All
No.
right, ladies. Have a fantastic week. Let me know what I can do for you. Okay. We'll be sending.
Okay.
Did they say the funeral is on Thursday?
It's tomorrow, Wednesday.
Tomorrow. Okay.
I
Please send loves and prayers to Hilary. My heart just breaks for her. Oh gosh, what a shocker. Anyway. Okay.
Sorry.
Go deal with
What
little baby boy.
what was this that she passed away from?
Say again.
What did she pass